My name is Alex Schiavone. I'm the Executive Director of Friends Center for Children. Friends Center was born out of asking the community what they needed, and what they said they needed was childcare. So we have evolved rapidly and drastically. We now have 3 sites and we'll open our 4th in May of 2026. We'll serve about 275 to 300 children when we're done with our expansion. And as we were moving through this work of really focusing on the child, we recognized that children do best when the adults around them are happy and thriving. And so we are equally focused on the family and supporting families and their needs. And it became really clear that we had to spend as much effort in supporting the teachers. And that has really evolved and shifted our work over the last 5 years. So the biggest challenge that educators who have committed themselves to the early care and education industry face is really the dismissal of their being. What they're doing is the most important work, arguably the most important work. They are brain builders. They're really taking human development and humans and really helping them become who they are. So it's really distressing that we have these women who are caring for the youngest version of ourselves, and we're dismissive of them.
We're not valued enough. And I think being a preschool teacher is a very important role. I think it stems from us for the future of these children. My favorite part about being a teacher is bonding with the children and getting those aha moments when they learn something different. And they just bring me joy.
I think teachers have so many roles in society, and where we're mentors, learners, supporters, role models, we're educators, we're so many things in society that it benefits children in so many different ways. It is a struggle. It is a struggle, and what ends up happening is that teachers end up leaving their career just because teachers are not getting paid what they should be getting paid.
We know that there is a huge economic impact that early care and education has on our society. So in Connecticut, we lose billions a year because we don't have an adequate 0 to 3 system. Our country loses $122 billion per year for not having that system. So we know that it has an economic impact. We know that in order for parents to work and be contributing members of the society in terms of the economy and in order to support themselves and their family, they have to work. And for them to work, they need their children to go somewhere, and they need their children to be in a space that is safe and joyous and loving and going to bring that child to its highest potential. We know all this, and yet we refuse to invest and make decisions where to put money into a system that is so desperately in need. So you have to examine that and say, why? We know better, we should be doing better. In order to raise salaries, you have to figure out where the money's going to come from. And so we spent about 8 months working through that and saying, okay, we need this amount of income, here are the ways we can get it. And the only ways that we could come up with to get it was, one, to get the state or federal government to invest, right? To really increase the subsidies and create an opportunity for subsidies that really match the cost of care. Or we charge families more. And it became clear that we could not charge families more. We decided to look at the problem from another angle and asked ourselves, if we can't increase salaries, can we take away a teacher's living expense so that the individual has less overall expenses, which in effect creates more disposable cash in their daily budget? And then we surveyed our teachers.
I'm Greg Melville. My wife, Susan Fox, and I are longtime supporters of Friends Center for Children. My wife and I found this when we were looking for housing for teachers in this area. This was within walking distance of the Friends Center on East Grand Avenue, so we saw it as a way to provide housing and also boost salaries for teachers.
When I first heard about the housing program, I was honestly in disbelief. I had never heard of a program where you could get housing through your job before, especially in early childhood. I've worked in other early childhood facilities before and have never heard of a program like this. So my first initial reaction was shock, like, is this really real? How is this happening? And then I had some more questions about how exactly they were able to do this, what the program would entail, but when the initial shock wore off, it was kind of a thought of how amazing that they were going to do this because it could really change people's lives for the better.
Growing up in like a tough neighborhood, going to school was like always like a way out of like bettering myself and bettering my living situation. And so Friends Center for Children providing this opportunity is really good because I get a change of environment, and having that peace of mind is really helps me to focus and really come to work with a positive attitude.
It is having an impact immediately. You can see the benefit really meet the needs of teachers in a real way. So it's not just about the concept of it and what the long term can be, but we're seeing it in real time, how educators can now have that burden off of their backs about safe housing, affordable housing, and really focus on the work and be present.
So for us as an organization, it's a one-time cost versus an annualized cost of having to raise salaries. And for the educator, it raises salaries overnight. So in our first year, we had 4 moms and 6 children living in housing. Overnight, families had the opportunity to be in a safe, secure, free housing situation. All of this is replicable. The replication of this project is about changing the way we think about things. There is always a pathway forward to do this kind of work. It's often met with, that can't be done.
Just simply not having to worry about rent each month and being able to place those funds into something else, whether it's to pay off a loan or just simply for saving. So when they are ready to leave Friends Center housing, they're able to pay for something independently. That's the work. That's what we're really trying to do, is provide opportunity and provide relief.
I meet with all the tenants regularly to just make sure they have what they need, things are going smoothly. Housing is really meant to build themselves wealth and generational wealth, right? Like eventually we want them to have something of substance so they can buy their own home. So that's really fascinating, and I'm along sort of on their journey.
What I would say to the people that came up with this initiative is job well done. Great way of showing your employees that you value them, even when other people don't see their greatness.
Thank you. I think Friends Center is just one of those programs, one of those centers that just really truly helps out the community, and not just with families, but teachers and administrators all alike.
I would like to say thank you. You have changed my life. You have changed my son's life. You have changed the trajectory of our family, and all in good ways. I never could have imagined that something like this could have happened to me, but I'm very grateful and very thankful.
These women who are in the housing are now getting what they should have been getting from the beginning. The impact is profound. It's the same way as if any of us have enough to meet our basic needs overnight. It's really hard, though, to tangibly put that into language. It's like taking someone from an inhumane situation that they've been forced into because they're willing to commit to other people's children.
The real payoff for us, I think, will be when we start seeing society comprehending how early childhood education really ought to be done and how teachers ought to be taken care of.
With one legislative move or one mindset shift that thinks about infrastructure in this way, you could transform the entire early care and education industry.
So this project is really a breakthrough. It is literally and figuratively groundbreaking for our nation.
I think there's two things I would hope for from learning about our program. One is that it's replicated, and however that happens is great. Because whether it's a private sector, whether it's another state, whether it's I've met with other countries, whichever it is, it's all good because it's raising everyone's status if you're an early care and education teacher. The thing I would say directly is decision makers, right? People who really have the ability to transform this, our industry just by introducing a bill or bringing this to legislation. That would be the most hopeful moment that we could experience.
The government and those officials, they really need to see what's going on in the program, right? They need to see what's going on in the classrooms, what our teachers are doing, what are the administrators, what our families are going through. And if they were to really see that, then why not put in the money into programs like these?
I think the first thing that needs to be acknowledged for people who are choosing to be in this profession, despite the fact that they are being unseen and marginalized and underfunded, is thank you.
What I would say to the teachers that's struggling, paying rent, and having a hard time in life in general is keep going. Just remember why you're doing this job.
I would say keep pushing. And if you have the support, take it.
I would say that your hard work is not overlooked and you are valued because you are a hero. You're coming to work, making sure that everyone is learning, making sure that people have what it takes to succeed in life. And I would say that keep going because even though you may not see it, you are making a difference in someone's life.
Thank you for being willing to step into this role and take care of us.